Now for a fair and balanced debate, Fox News contributor Ratner, former advisor to President George W.Bush, Kereakos Zuras, and co-founder of the Tea Party 365, David Webb. Nice to see all of you bright and early this morning.
Good to see you, Clayton.
David, let me start with you. The Democrats wasting no time going right after Rick Perry and talking about big government spending. But we've seen 37% of jobs created in this country come from Texas. Do they have a leg to stand on in their attacks against him?
No, they really don't, and they've got to go after Perry. But look at this federal government, which has grown by 150,000 plus workers under President Obama. 2006 to 2010, the Pelosi-led Congress, where they grew, the workers in the EPA, the DOE, several agencies. The Democrats, by definition, is big government, centralized government control. Obamacare being the best example of that. So they have nothing. And when you have no record to run on, you've got to go after the guy who's got a record that says he's created most of the jobs concentrated in any state.
Ellen, you're shaking your head.
Well, first of all, Perry's very lucky because Texas is an energy state and housing is low, et cetera, cost of living is low. However, the governor of Texas, I'm saying this to my Democrat friends and my Republican friends, does not have a lot of power in that state. The power is really invested in the legislature. So I don't know how much Rick Perry created or didn't create anything.
Kereakos, because you worked for George W. Bush, talk about Texas here.
I think that for the Democrats to go after Rick Perry and say that he's all about big spending and growing government is laughable. By definition, again, the Democrats are all about big spending, growing government, and entitlement programs. This guy has created 40% of the job growth.
But why yesterday, then, during his announcement, did he come out and try to distance himself from George W. Bush and spending?
Well, probably because people are going to try to make that association, okay? But the bottom line is this. He is creating results over there. He's got the lowest, his unemployment rate in Texas is lower than the United States as a whole. He's created 40% of the job growth in America from 2009 to 2011. He's doing things right down there. And I think the Democrats need to look at him and take some lessons about what he's doing.
Go ahead, Al.
And I'm saying that he probably isn't doing a whole heck of a lot. He's both lucky and he doesn't have the power that the legislature in Texas has.
David, I want to ask you this. From a Tea Party perspective, what does he do now to Michelle Bachmann? Now, she's the big winner, of course, in Iowa. Yesterday at the straw poll, Rick Perry sort of stole some of her thunder by making an announcement in South Carolina. Does he get some of those Tea Party votes, and what does that mean for her?
He'll get support, and I've talked to Tea Parties, especially in Texas, that are behind Rick Perry. Look, the first two people that Rick Perry really has to take out of the race, so to speak, if he's going to go after Romney, it's going to be Bachmann and Pawlenty, and that's the reality of what politics is. The straw poll is a straw poll. It's motivation. It's not really a meter of the rest of the country. So Perry now has to think political strategy, and those are the two he needs to take out if he's going to go after Romney. And by the way, the political pot calling the kettle black. Again, back to this point that Obama and the Pelosi-led Congress for 4 years is trying to blame a new conservative House for the big spending is a ridiculous idea, and Americans have not bought into it.
Wait a minute. President Clinton balanced the budget and had a plan to get us out of debt. Then George Bush came in, and the debt increased multifold. I mean,
Ellen, it did, and it was $10.57 billion in 2008 when Bush was over. It is now $14.6 trillion, a 35% growth. So the numbers are there, and you can't turn around. Bush was a big spender. He had his faults. That's a truth. But the fact is 35% growth since Obama took office in 2 years plus. That's ridiculous.
He's outspending George W. Bush 4-1. Okay, and this $666 billion that he spent that promises we'd have 8% or less unemployment isn't working. We've got 9.1. It's getting worse. People are getting laid off by the minute.
Wait a minute. We've had
17
months of continuous job growth in this country. And what President Obama came in and inherited was not a pretty picture.
We gotta stop doing this inheritance thing, okay? This economy owned by President Obama. It's been 2 years plus. This is his problem.
Oh, because you guys are trying to make him on 7
We're not trying to make him on. He spent all this money.
David, I'll give you the final word.
Let's look at this from the fiscal conservative point of view. Regardless of whether you're a Republican or Democrat, you're an American who looks at, I have no job, I'm underemployed, there are millions of people out of work, and our effective unemployment rate is somewhere probably close to 17%. We have a problem in this country, and the political partisanship that the Democrats want to play demonize, marginalize, and attack. It doesn't work anymore.
Maybe Newt Gingrich hit on something during the straw poll, and maybe we all need to come together somehow. Guys, thanks so much for joining us. This one. Have a great Sunday.